So a real detailed retirement income plan is going to say, as we talked about earlier, it's going to say, what do you have right now? What assets do you have that we can actually turn into an income stream? Because we're used to getting a paycheck every week or 2 weeks. That goes away. And it's a really weird feeling for people like, where am I getting my money?
Right.
So we have to take the assets you've built up and turn them into an income stream. So hello, everybody. We're doing things a little bit. We're turning the tables here in the Blue Collar Wealth Studio. With me is Britt, and she is going to kind of come at things from a different angle. It's weird for me. I'm on this side of the table here. I'm in the hot seat. And Britt, you're going to be doing the interview. And Britt works with, helps us put this entire program together and is really working intimately with our whole company on all of our marketing and all of the pieces that we put out there for you to understand a little bit more information and questions that you have and answer those questions. So she has turned the tables on me this year. I told you we were going to do something different. And so she's going to be asking me topics sort of from the perspective of you as the viewer. So I know sometimes in our office, we get talking, we get very tech heavy. We use a lot of acronyms and things that most people aren't used to. And so Britt's here to keep us honest and keep us on point. So we do have a tendency to stray from topic. So what's our topic today, Britt?
All right. So today I want to take it real basic. Okay. We're going to talk about what a retirement income plan is, which that might seem a little silly, right? Because your entire company's name is Stonehouse Retirement Income Planners. And so this might be very natural and basic to you, but I'd love to break that down.
Sure.
What is a retirement income plan?
Yeah. Well, they used to be really complex. It is kind of weird to hear you say that because I think everybody knows what a retirement income plan is. But years ago, when I was in the business, the plans were very complex. It would take a lot of time, several meetings to really get down to the nitty gritty with people and put the details together. But it's way more streamlined now. The software that we use, various software we use to put it together is very streamlined. The data is better. Usually people can access their data, their account values, their contracts, their agreements. They have that on file. A lot of it's electronic. So basically it's gathering all that stuff. And then the time now that we put that together and really put something back in front of the client to go through it with them is really a matter of a couple of days, really.
So it's an in-depth, personalized plan that over time, you and the Stonehouse team have gotten really efficient at. Why is that efficiency so important?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So because it took so much time to put a plan together years ago, it was hard to get clients to do it. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of homework. And it was a lot of scheduling meetings, right? And today's world just moves far more quickly than ever before. But since that information is so more readily available for them to gather and then hand to us, and then we efficiently basically input that data and spit out these numbers, these projections. That's really what a plan is all about. It's a snapshot of right now what you have going on in your life, and it's a projection. What are you looking at in 5 years? In 10 years, whatever. And so because of that nimbleness, right? That the ability for, as life changes and their plan needs to be adjusted, it's very easy. Oh, what changed? Oh, you got this going on, you got that going on. Let me rerun the numbers. And because of that efficiency, it actually makes it more accurate because you can more frequently go back and look at that snapshot today. Make sure you're on pace.
So being nimble, staying flexible, you talk about that a lot in our episodes, in the office. So can you break down why does flexibility matter, especially in retirement?
Right. Yeah. Flexibility, the F word, right?
The F word.
Great example would be 2008. So again, our industry really used to do these big, thick book of a plan kind of things for clients. In 2008, with what happened in the markets and with everything really in the economy, things changed so dramatically and so quickly. You could have taken a plan that you did at the beginning of 2008 and tossed it in the garbage. It really changed that much. And people froze up. And if you went back to them and said, hey, we need to adjust the numbers, they were just that was a big change in the markets and they froze up. So because of that, because of what we have now, it's so easy to go back and run those numbers. And as I was saying earlier, if you can easily grab that data, hey, I just need a screenshot, you can just pull up your account and share your value with me. I can re-put those numbers in and we can run that data and we can stay nimble and reactive and proactive. It's actually very good to be both, depending on what's happening out there. So the ability to adjust on the fly is really, really important. And so that's what I would say is the real benefit to being nimble.
Well, and you gave a great example of 2008, but I can only imagine in today's world, it's even more necessary to stay flexible, not only with life circumstances, but also it seems like it changes
constantly.
A lot. Constantly.
Or is it that we're watching it more closely? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. But it seems like it would be even more helpful to have a plan and have a team that's able to be flexible now more than ever.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. That's what we do all the time. And to be honest with you, 2008 was not as difficult as 2000 to 2002. Okay. And a lot of people are surprised at that. And even in today's down market in 2022, it's been a year. 2008 was, a nasty drop, but a quick rebound, right? 2000 to 2002 was just 3 back-to-back years. And that was harder, I think, for the clients that at that time, anybody can take short-term pain, but when it felt longer term, it was difficult for them. And we just have better systems in place now. And I think that's part of the deal of having that retirement income plan. You have systems and you have super strong communication with your clients. So if they get uncomfortable or they have questions, you're right there, whether it's a text or an email or phone call or a face-to-face meeting, whatever they want, we're right there. So yeah, I like the world we're in. Maybe I'm the only one, but I really enjoy it.
So when you're putting a plan together, I imagine there's a lot of data that goes into that. What types of data? What do you need to put a plan together?
It really just boils down to whatever they think they'll use as an asset for retirement.
Okay.
So if we're strictly talking retirement planning, we just need to know, what do you have? If you have a 401k, you have some IRAs, you have some money saved in elsewhere, you have property. Like people will say, do I need to give you a valuation of my house? Well, not if you're not going to sell it, right? If you're just staying there during your retirement, then we're not going to probably use that for income. So we don't need that. But it's really just anything you think is an asset that you'll probably tap into, whether it's a pension coming that's producing an income stream for you, or a CD at the bank, or royalties. People are getting royalties around here. Any of those things that are expected to continue to flow in retirement. We just want to put a value on it and then set some sort of expectation, and then we'll play with the variables once we put that plan together.
Right. Now, you mentioned a few common assets off the top of your head, CDs and pensions and nat gas around here. Are there any other less common sources of income or assets that you and your advisors still handle?
Yeah. So the common ones are really, the obvious ones are your retirement plans, and those come in all different shapes and sizes, right? So like at Procter & Gamble, we have the profit sharing. You have 401ks. The teachers have 403bs. They also have pensions. All kinds of all these places have your traditional retirement accounts that are all usually pre-tax money. But then you have other folks that have maybe done their own IRAs. They've done Roth IRAs. So anything like that counts. Other investments would be if you have brokerage accounts. Geez, I hesitate to throw in cryptocurrency right now. So if you have cryptocurrency, we're probably not counting that, but it's probably good for us to know about that. But, if you inherited money, savings accounts, stocks, I should say, from somebody, a family member, or you own stocks. And we just need to be careful. It's really important for us to understand how each of those works because, selling a stock that you own in a brokerage account is a lot different than selling it inside of a 401k.
Okay.
401k usually doesn't trigger tax until you take it out. But if you just sell a stock that you have over in another account that's not inside of an IRA, there's an instant tax ramification. And we don't like our clients to have surprises. The world throws enough of those at the clients, so I don't think we need to be providing any. But I mean, the only tricky things would be things like a small business is very hard to quantify, to value sometimes, but there are ways to do that, and we usually incorporate that in. Let's see, the real estate. A lot of people usually that have real estate are not sure what they're going to do with it in retirement. And then we get into buying second homes and vacation places and stuff. So there's a lot that goes into it, but those are really the basics.
Okay, so let's say I'm the client. You get all of that information from me, all of the assets, whether common or less common, and then you do what with it? What do you do?
Well, so that first part, the collecting the data is really part of the snapshot, right? That's what we talked about first. It's got two parts of doing a plan. It's a snapshot of what you have and where you are today. And then it's a projection out to whatever the heck it is that you're trying to do.
Right.
Some people are planning for a specific thing that's happening in 5 years. Most of people are planning the rest of my life. I mean, the number one question, hands down, that we deal with is, I don't want to outlive my money.
Right.
Right. But there's a fun part to that. When you realize that you're not going to outlive your money, then you get to think about, what can I do with my money, and what's most effective, and how you start thinking about your family members and things like that. So, but the most common thing is that projection. So that's what we basically start to do. So the next phase after gathering that data is to really look at what you have in your priorities. If it's retirement and we're trying to fund 30 years of retirement, we're going to run the numbers. So we're going to run all your data through our systems. And then it's about projections. It's about probabilities. So we work in a world of probability. It's if someone has, based on all these things that have occurred in the past, if you run the same kind of scenarios, and out of all those instances, you have a 95% chance of not running out of money, that's a really good number. It's not perfect. It's really hard to get it to 100 because there's always a black sheep event that could happen, or black swan event, I should say. But ultimately, we try to get those probabilities as high as we can. And if we're falling short of that goal, whatever your goal is, which is usually a nice, strong retirement, we start looking at the lever points. So lever points this is a phrase that I use, but I think it's really cool when somebody comes into the office and we start to put stuff up on the screen and we say, here's what you have, here's what the numbers look like today. But if you do this or this, here's how it changes. And what I mean by this are like, if you save a little bit more than you are now, if you retire, maybe if you work a little bit longer, right, or retire later, you could say if you die sooner, but nobody ever wants to choose that lever, right? Those are the kinds of things they can see. If you get a better return, if you get more aggressive or less aggressive with it, you can start to see how one move or change affects your long-term window. And then that's a really, really cool thing because I love that part of the meeting because people really, they kind of go from confusion to sort of feeling empowered.
All right, so this is going to maybe seem like a silly question, but there
are no silly questions.
There are no silly questions around here. Exactly. So we're talking about a retirement income plan. Is that the same or different from a financial plan? We hear about those a lot too.
Yeah. So a financial plan is kind of just a broad-based, so it's all financial planning, and then retirement income planning is like a subset. Right?
Got it.
Basically, you're getting down to crunch time. If it's a retirement income plan, which can be looking out 20 years. So that's kind of part of a financial plan. But then what we do a lot in our office is folks who are really like getting up to that finish line, like they're ready to go turn in their notice. That's about coordinating, where am I getting my checks from? So a real detailed retirement income plan is going to say, as we talked about earlier, it's going to say, what do you have right now? What assets do you have that we can actually turn into an income stream? Because we're used to getting a paycheck every week or 2 weeks. That goes away. And it's a really weird feeling for people, like, where am I getting my money?
Right.
So we have to take the assets you've built up and turn them into an income stream, which is not hard to do. I mean, we do that all the time, but it gets a bit intimidating for people. You're rolling accounts around. You have to be careful you don't accidentally get a $600,000 account suddenly subject to taxes. So, I mean, you just basically do a nice IRA rollover. But the gist of it is that it's a retirement income plan because you're now figuring out what sources you're going to draw on for your income. And especially going back to the F word, right? That flexibility. If you have flexibility built into your plan, hopefully you have several sources to pull from. And so one of our biggest jobs in the very beginning of someone's retirement is trying to figure out which sources to pull from, trying to keep the taxes down to a minimum, and making that money last as long as we can. Then after retirement, a lot of folks might say, like, what do you guys do after retirement? That's like, we're just getting started. Like, because in retirement, you start eventually getting hit with all kinds of additional decisions, like, Social Security. When do I start taking my Social Security checks? And usually you have a husband and wife both trying to figure out, he'll take his now, she'll take hers later. And so you kind of coordinate that stuff. At 65, you're going to be enrolling into Medicare. We do a lot with helping folks enroll into Medicare and a lot of decision making there. When you get into your 70s, you're going to have RMDs, which are required minimum distributions, which is the government's way of saying, hey, you have too much money that we have never taxed. You got to take some out so we can tax you. And then you get into estate planning and gifting and all kinds of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. I think we earn our stripes right out of the gates with people in that first year because there's a lot of moving parts and it can be intimidating and you can make mistakes. So I think they like that we're along for the ride to help them through that. But then I think that's where we sort of get vetted. And then it's really cool to see people have been with us for a long time because in the first couple of years, there's a lot of questions and you can't build trust by a fancy ad or a nice brochure, right? As much as I love all the stuff you do.
It's a factor, but it's not a very big one.
It all adds up, right? No doubt it adds up. But the trust is just has to be built over time. And so once that trust is there, we see, clients that have a lot of money invested with us. And some of them, we can't even get to come back in the office and have conversations. It's like, call me if the world catches on fire. Yeah. But otherwise, I know you guys got us covered. So that's a great feeling. It's a big responsibility. But so that's as usual, my long-winded answer. So retirement income plan is a subset of a general financial plan. And it's really focused on how you're going to take your income at retirement.
And then all the other things that you can help with after that.
Yeah, all the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yep. The only other thing I would say is, I think I wanted to mention this, is that, again, to the flexibility thing, retirement is a lot of unpredictable things. And unfortunately, one of the things that we have nothing to do with, but it's a big part of it, is health. And so change happens, whether it's with our clients or with a close family member, children or parents. And sometimes our clients are taking care of their parents, and sometimes they're taking care of their kids. And sometimes we call it that sandwich generation. You're stuck taking care of both. When all that stuff happens, and sometimes it's always unpredictable and it's emotionally jarring. And so there's a little bit of psychology and these are folks we build friendships with too. So I love the fact that they will often, email us, call us, come in and have a conversation and just talk about, like, what do I do? I mean, you could just see the weight on their shoulders and we don't always have the perfect answer, but we can absolutely start to uncover things that maybe they didn't think about. And at least if they have a couple options, we can help them vet which is the best one. And
right.
Like, those are like the intangibles. They don't really put articles together about that or headlines about it. But I would say that's where you earn the trust with the people.
Yeah. Again, that second perspective. I keep coming back to that, but I keep seeing the value in it. Yeah. So we're going to wrap this up, and I want to get into the mind of the person who's watching this and they are preparing for retirement. It's, let's say, 5-10 years down the line. They've got a lot of life going on right now as well. I'd love to know, what's their very first step? They can see how a retirement income plan could be really helpful for them in the future, maybe even now. Yeah. What do they do first? What's their very first step?
Oh, I love you for asking this question. It gives us a chance to date rather than getting married. So what I mean by that is I just described to you a few minutes ago about some real intimate conversations we end up having with our clients, right? That intimacy is shared. Like I have a client go through a bad experience. I take that home with me. I mean, like I don't talk about it, but it's hard not to think about it when you go home sometimes. And the same with the great experiences too, which we have a lot more of those, which is fun. But my point is, it took me a long time to choose who I wanted to spend my life with. I'm not saying that an advisor is like a spouse, right? But you're going to end up probably talking and sharing a lot of very important details about your life over that long-term relationship. So when someone is closing in on retirement, like you say, 5 to 10 years, it's time to start paying attention. Make sure you're getting to the amounts in there into those retirement accounts that you want, and you're pulling those levers up and down to what you can afford to do. It's a great time to work with a firm like us, and all you need to do is really just that snapshot stuff. So just idea of what you have today. And a lot of people today have that saved on a spreadsheet somewhere, or they're using some other form like Mint or something like that. Sit down, bring that in, have that conversation, talk about your comfort zones, why you're invested in things you are. And you're probably talking an hour conversation, and really we do a lot of it online. A lot of the folks are from outside of our area, and we're just doing it with them on a Zoom or a Teams call or something. But bring that information to us. Let us listen to you instead of talk to you. Let us listen to what you want to do. And then let us put that plan together. And then there's a lot of folks that we have, we can't really help manage their money. It's at the retirement plan at work, but we're giving them advice on where that money should probably be allocated, how much they should contribute, and showing them that roadmap. Right. And then at some point, like you just touch base every year or two and keep in touch, and then make sure you're on track. And then it's by the time you get to retirement, hopefully we've proven ourselves and your comfort level went up and your numbers are jiving, and you say, now's the time. It's almost never a money decision though. When somebody retires, it's almost always right here.
Yeah.
I'm just burned out, or I've got the next great thing that I want to do.
Yeah. Great. So where can someone go to start that conversation?
Oh, geez, I don't know. You guys always have all these cool links and everything on the pages and on these videos. But
it's on the screen.
Yeah, so
that's all you got to say. It's on the screen.
Look for the link on the screen. Or you can do the old-fashioned way and just call our number.
Yeah,
and that's easy. We have a lot of folks that do that. We even have folks that literally just walk in. So whatever.
Sure. Okay, great. Thanks.
Let's take that first step.